Welcome back, folks. In this particular video we're going to show you how to add a trend object to a screen to monitor one of your process variables as it changes with respect to time. In order to do that, the screen that I want you to have open is your Area 2, which is going to be your secondary control objects. And you'll notice there are some differences between FTalk View ME, the trend object there, and FTalk View SE here in the trend object that I'm going to show you how to add. So watch out for these differences. First of all, if I go into Objects, I need to go into Advanced, then into Trend. Okay, I'm going to draw my trend object on my screen. So first thing we have is Display Chart Title. So for our title, we're going to use the value, or include the name, I should say, of the process variable. Okay, so we're going to do our temperature variable versus time. Our data server is going to be a real-time data server, which means it's going to be pulling from the data server actively, which is what we want. Okay, and we'll go to the next tab here under Display. So first of all, we don't want that caption and value underneath the specific trend. We already have our captured value up in the tags that we're monitoring the top left of the screen. So I want you to deselect the line legend, click on Apply, and I want you also to click on Background Color, and let's change it to white. Actually, let's change it to a light color of gray, a light form of gray. There we go, to get a little bit of contrast with our background. Okay, for time format, we're going to use the time setting on the PC, and we're going to look at this chart radix in decimal. So next thing we need to do is go into Pens, and straight away here we can select the specific tag that we want to monitor. You'll notice pen source is under Tag Live Data. Later on, when we want to monitor a historical trend, data that's been stored in a database, we're going to use data log model, but for now we're going to take a look at live data, and we'll go ahead and add pen. So the tag that you wish to select for this particular trend is up to you. For example, I'm going to monitor process variable number 2. Okay, so I select it through my appropriate area and shortcut. I'll say OK. And for color, let's go ahead and change it to, let's go to a bright color of green for this. And then we'll cursor over. I want to highlight a couple other things here. First of all, went a little bit too far. Let's change our width to a value of 2 to get a little heavier line. Alright, and we need to check our min and max. So our min and max values are going to, ultimately once we configure it, that'll become what we utilize on the y-axis. So we're going to look at 0 all the way up to 100. And of course, if you had a variable that isn't changing much, you might want to zoom in on this axis, just like you did on the digital trend recorder. You could certainly use the min and max here to do that. Next thing I'm going to look at, it's going to be the engineering unit. So I scrolled over here to the engineering units column, and I'm going to say degrees Celsius to match my screen. And now we can go to the x-axis tab above. Only thing I want to change on my x-axis is down here on my display options. So we are going to capture a 2-minute time span, or view a 2-minute time span. But on the display options, let's change the major grid lines to a value of 5. Okay, and minor grid lines to a value of 4. And then on the y-axis, you'll notice for max-min value options, so what we're going to see on the actual y-axis, it'll go to automatic if you want to have the values of the y-axis change with respect to the changing variable, and it'll somewhat match a range, but I don't want to do that. Let's use the preset, which is going to be the min and max that you just set up in the Pens tab. Okay, I'll hit Apply, and I am noticing the green is kind of hard to see on that white background, so I'm just going to go back to my pens, and I will change the color here of the pen. Let's go to a darker blue. Now that we've hit Apply, we can go ahead and say OK. And we'll save that screen, hit the play button. And because our mashing area is running right now, you'll notice we start to graph the variable with respect to time. We're looking at temperature in this instance, so if I take a look at the actual value up here in my numeric display, it's being tracked, of course, and matches what's being shown on the trend display as well. So if I hit the stop button, make sure you practice that. Of course, that should stop causing the waveforms to move our variables, so we end up with a flat line. And if I hit start again, pardon me, the variable starts to pick up after the calculations sink in. and we'll continue to monitor that particular variable on our trend. So the last two parts that I want you to take care of on this trend display are adding a label to the y-axis on the left and of course a label to the x-axis on the bottom. Lastly, make sure the pause button and the controls on the bottom are functioning properly. So if I hit pause, you'll notice the marker itself will continue to move, but I don't get any trace of it on the trend until I click on the pause button again to resume. And sure enough, our waveform is still intact. Alright, that does it for the creation of a trend display. Go ahead and move back to the lab document.